The rain drummed against the neon-lit pavement, casting distorted reflections of government propaganda on the slick ground. Elian Cross, investigative journalist and notorious dissenter, pulled his coat tighter around himself as he approached the meeting point. The message had been cryptic. They weren't killed. They were patched. But the sender, anonymous. For weeks, activists had been vanishing without a trace. No bodies, no arrests, just silence. Official statements claimed relocation programs, but the city's underbelly whispered something darker. The patch, a cybernetic implant designed to suppress volatile emotions, anger, grief, rebellion, was the government's latest tool for societal harmony, compliance at the cost of the soul. Elian had seen its effects firsthand. A friend, a firebrand of a leader, had reappeared after weeks of disappearance, smiling, calm, empty, his fiery rhetoric erased, his once passionate speeches now monotone endorsements of the system. The truth clawed at Elian's mind. The missing activists weren't dead, their bodies lived, but their minds had been stripped clean. Tonight, he would find proof. Elian followed the coordinates to an abandoned sector of the city. The place hummed with residual energy. Old cybernetic labs turned into government black sites. He bypassed the rusted security gate and slipped inside, heart hammering. Rows of pods lined the room, glowing with an eerie blue light. Inside each one, a figure lay motionless, neural bands locked onto their temples. Screens above each pod displayed biometric data, stable heart rates, brainwave activity, yet something was missing. No spikes, no fluctuations, no emotion ... He inched closer to a terminal, his hands trembling as he activated the last recorded session logs. Subject 043, activist Amontes. Status: successfully patched. Hostility, resistance, independent thought reduced to 2%. Compliance at 98%. Next step, reintegration. Elian's stomach churned. They hadn't killed the activists. They had pacified them, turned them into docile, obedient citizens. Their thoughts were their own, but without passion, without drive. His breath hitched as the door behind him hissed open. A figure entered, a man dressed in a sleek, charcoal grey suit. His face was eerily familiar. Nathaniel Voss, former journalist, once known for exposing corporate corruption. Now he was a government mouthpiece. "You shouldn't be here, Cross," Voss said, his voice even, his expression devoid of recognition. "This place is restricted." Elian took a step back. "You used to fight for the truth, Voss. What happened?" Voss tilted his head slightly, his lips curling into a soft, practiced smile. "I was patched. I am free from fear, free from the pain of rebellion, and soon, so will you." Elian clenched his fists, ready to fight, but he needed to be smarter. 2 enforcers entered, their cybernetic eyes scanning the room. He had minutes. Elian ripped a drive from his pocket and jammed it into the terminal, frantically copying the logs. A metallic voice boomed behind him. "Unauthorized access detected. Surrender immediately." Elian grabbed a metal pipe and swung blindly, smashing the nearest screen to cause a distraction. Alarms blared. He sprinted for the emergency exit. Data drive secured in his grip. The moment he burst into the alley, a stunner bolt grazed his shoulder, searing through his coat. He stumbled, adrenaline propelling him forward. If he could get this footage out, the world would know the truth. The patch was worse than death. It was the erasure of everything that made a person human. But the government wouldn't let him run forever. Elian ducked into a hidden tunnel beneath the city, where resistance members had set up an underground refuge. The air was thick with electricity, the scent of ozone and sweat filling the narrow corridors. He pushed past weary faces, refugees, exiles, all running from the patch. "Did you get it?" asked Juno, a tech genius, and one of the last unpatched hackers in the city. Elian nodded, tossing her the drive. "It's all here." She plugged it into a terminal, scanning the files, her eyes widening. "This is bigger than we thought. They aren't just patching activists, they're targeting everyone." Elian's stomach clenched. "What do you mean?" Juno brought up a list of names. Thousands. Journalists, artists, scientists, teachers, even government officials. "They're not just eliminating dissent," she said. "They're rewriting history. By the time they're done, there won't be anyone left who remembers what real freedom feels like." Elian exhaled sharply. "Then we go public. Tonight." Elian's safe house was already compromised. He had moments before the enforcers tracked him down. His only chance was to broadcast the data to the underground network. His trembling fingers hovered over the upload button. Warning. Tracing signal detected. Immediate risk of capture. If he sent it, he would be found, patched, erased. His vision blurred as he imagined himself in one of those pods. Would he remember this moment? Would he still care? His heartbeat steadied. He pressed send. The door crashed open. The next time the world saw Elian Cross, he was on state television, smiling, calm, empty. His voice was soft, unwavering, believable. He spoke of unity, of peace, of the patch as humanity's next evolution. But in the farthest corners of the city, rebels still whispered his name. The message had been received. The fight wasn't over. It had only begun. Somewhere, deep within the underground, a new figure emerged, a hooded individual replaying the video of Elian's last transmission. The screen flickered, displaying his final words before the patch took him. The resistance had found its new leader. The war for consciousness was just beginning.